Hello, I'm going to start a new series of short web videos where we can discuss different topics about politics, the Trump administration, and the resistance. I hope these will be informative for you. They'll be informative for me if you click subscribe and leave some comments because we'd love to hear from you. And my first topic today is going to be North Korea. Doom. My opinion, again my opinion, on the whole North Korea issue is that it's a complete and utter distraction. It's political theater. That's what it is. Policy regarding North Korea has been pretty much unchanged since the end of the Korean War in 1953. The Trump administration has come in and made all this bluster about Kim Jong-un, calling him Rocket Man, but really, nothing has changed. It's in the interest of the United States administration and the military-industrial complex to have an enemy, to have someone to focus on. The Soviets were so convenient for military spending, and the Soviets were a legitimate threat. Is North Korea a threat? To South Korea, to Japan, to the region? Yes, they absolutely are. The fact that they could hit Guam, the fact that they could hit Hawaii, the West Coast, and latest reports say they could get as far as Boston. It's scary. It really honestly is. But look at the big players in the world right now. You've got, obviously, the United States. You've got the European Union, which has plenty of its own struggles. And the rising power has been China. For decades, it's been China. Has their strength slowed? Has their economy faltered the way that many people predicted they were going to have some sort of a residential real estate bubble burst, the way that the United States did in 2008, 2009? They haven't. They're growing. It's in their interest not to have a war in North Korea. They want to keep things exactly the way that they are. And in the region, they're the most powerful player. Trump's visit and his rhetoric regarding China, from being a candidate until now, has always been bluster to build up his base. But in the background, if you look at what's actually happening regarding to policy towards China, is discussions about China, nothing really has changed. And China is still as much in control and even more in control. Their middle class is basically the strongest middle class. As America weakens its own, it's the middle class of China driving their economy, their corporations buying other corporations globally. They're not willing to have a war on the Korean peninsula. The Trump administration needs a distraction. China wants to take over the South China Sea. They want to annex all of that maritime territory off the coast of Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, the whole region down there. The Obama administration stood up to them. The Obama administration was willing to say, no, we're going to work with our partners and our allies. We're going to discuss this in the international community. Trump doesn't want any to do with that. Tillerson is cozy with Putin and the Russians. The Russians, I don't really understand exactly how they're willing to work with the Chinese as much as they are, but Putin probably realizes that there's nothing that he can do to prevent the rise of China, so he'd probably rather work with them than against them, because he'd lose. Anyone that really goes against China right now, in the long term, is going to lose, because China looks 20, 50 years down the road. All American politicians, all Congress wants to do is look toward the next election cycle. This tax scam is just something to appease the donors that they've had and finally give them something back for all the bribes that they've had for years and years. My girlfriend is terrified of the whole North Korea thing whenever she sees it, and I remind her that nothing's going to happen. I really honestly don't think for 1 second that anything regarding a nuclear conflict is going to happen, because China wouldn't let it. And Trump does what China wants. He will say everything to his base that he wants to about we're going to go after China for manipulating currency. But his most recent visit, there was a great, I'm going to try to find the link. I'm going to put it under this video so you can go to it yourself. But I was listening to NPR a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was the 14th of November. And whoever they were interviewing, and I'll find the link and I'll put it so you can listen to it yourself, basically said, we've given up fighting them. We've given up standing up to them under the current administration. China really does whatever it wants. Trump's perfectly happy to let it be that way. Tillerson too, apparently. And every rhetoric that all the rhetoric you hear about China to his base is just bluster. It doesn't mean a damn thing. So Is war going to happen with North Korea? No, because it's good political theater, arouses up his base to have there be an enemy, and the industrial complex can keep spending on weapons, and it's just going to be a distraction. In the meantime, China looks south and expands. Eventually, they'll take over Taiwan probably because we're so focused on the Korean Peninsula, where China doesn't want anything to change whatsoever. So again, it's my opinion, but I hope that's educational, and I would like you to look into it yourself. Don't just take anyone's word for anything. Open your mind to different possibilities, different ideas, and dig into it yourself. And don't listen to trolls. Whatever you do, trolls are just always going to lead you astray. I hope you found that informative, and I'll see you again soon.